Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, Chapter 5, entitled Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha, verse number 41. Nanubhuya na janati puman vishayatikshnataam nirvidyate swayam tasman na tatha binnadhi parehi. Word to word meaning: na, not; anubhuya, experiencing; na, not; janati, knows; puman, a person; vishayatikshnataam, the sharpness of material enjoyment; nirvidyate, becomes aloof; swayam, himself; tasmat, from that; na tatha, not like that; bhinnadhi, whose intelligence is changed; parehi, by others. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: material enjoyment is indeed the cause of all unhappiness, but one cannot give it up unless one has personally experienced how much suffering it is. Therefore, one should be allowed to remain in so-called material enjoyment while simultaneously advancing in knowledge to experience the misery of this false material happiness. Then, without help from others, one will find material enjoyment detestable. Those whose minds are changed by others do not become as renounced as those who have personal experience. Purport: it is said that unless a woman becomes pregnant, she cannot understand that trouble of giving birth to a child. Bandhya ki bujibe prasava vedana. The word bandhya means a sterile woman. Such a woman cannot give birth to a child. How then can she perceive the pain of delivery? According to the philosophy of Prajapati Daksha, a woman should first become pregnant and then experience the pain of childbirth. Then, if she is intelligent, she will not want to be pregnant again. Actually, however, this is not a fact. Sex enjoyment is so strong that a woman becomes pregnant and suffers at the time of childbirth, but she becomes pregnant again despite her experience. According to Daksha's philosophy, one should become implicated in the material enjoyment so that after experiencing the distress of such enjoyment, one will automatically renounce. Material nature, however, is so strong that although a man suffers at every step, he will not cease his attempts to enjoy. Tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhaja. Under the circumstances, unless one gets the association of a devotee like Narada Muni or his servant in the disciplic succession, one's dormant spirit of renunciation cannot be awakened. It is not a fact that because material enjoyment involves so many painful conditions, one will automatically become detached. One needs the blessings of a devotee like Narad Muni. Then one can renounce his attachment for the material world. The young boys and girls of the Krishna consciousness movement have given up the spirit of material enjoyment not because of practice but by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya.
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashrita Deshatana. So Prajapati Daksha is arguing that Anubhuya, Nanubhuya na janati. Without experience, one won't know. Vishaya tikshnatan, the sharpness of material existence. Yeah, it's in my left pocket. Tendency of material existence. Nirvidyate swayam tasmad natata bindati parai. He automatically becomes detached. More so than the person who's influenced parai by others who have a different viewpoint. Well, this is Prajapati Daksha's argument, and Srila Prabhupada rejects it. If by bad experience one would become renounced, most of the world would be filled with brahmacharis and sannyasis. But instead, people go on suffering. Without the mercy of a pure devotee, without the mercy of a Krishna conscious sadhu, it's very difficult to get free from material existence. And by that association, Narad Muni, he changed the minds of the Haryashvas, the Shabalasyas, by his association, by his instructions. That's what does it, not experience. Otherwise, we're experienced in millions of lifetimes, and still we remain foolish. But lavamatra sadhu sange sarva siddhyoy. Okay, maybe I'll speak short and answer questions long. Some questions?
As this is a question.
Okay, pass.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is a question connected to the morning class, Bhagavatam class, regarding austerities. So, there is some where some devotees feel that they should not take milk because it is not coming from protected cows. So I have some devotees have experienced that they even don't take ghee also. So this is also a kind of austerity. Sometimes I also try to imitate them, but I can't. I fall back. So how much it is advisable that we follow such kind of austerities, because it is...
It's not really an austerity. The question is that some devotees avoid milk, ghee, dahi, everything, milk products, because the cows are not protected. That is to say, they're mistreated and slaughtered. So that to take these things is unethical. And we can understand that position. If you're not going to take milk, you shouldn't take ghee. It comes from the same source. I've written an article about this. It's published in Back to Godhead, and it's published on my website, jswami.info, called Ahimsa Balancing. Ahimsa Balancing. To run you through the theme of that, the idea of not taking, of course, best thing is milk from our own cows. That's sub-se best, no question about it. That's the best thing. Only take milk from our own cows, nothing, no problem. But how many of us have cows? or availability of milk from such cows. It's not a general solution. For some few people, it may be few devotees, it may be very good. For the others, it doesn't work. So then then the only milk available is from rascal dairies. There's one very big dairy. They have a big name, Gujarat Dairy Company. Short name, 4 letters only. And they present themselves as very cow-friendly and all. But I came to know that when there was a proposal against cow slaughter, they opposed it. They opposed it because it doesn't fit their economic model. For their business model to work, there has to be cow slaughter. So wherever you go, with some few exceptions, where they're generally giving ahimsa milk products, there's all slaughter involved. And we're very sorry to see that this is going on. So what to do? One solution is only from our own cows. That's a small number. Another solution is give up milk products. That's problematic. Are we going to tell Krishna also that you can't have milk anymore? No more milk, no more rasgulla, no more sandesh, no. All of these things we're cutting out because you're Govinda, you love cows, and so we're not going to give you any milk from these exploited cows. We could do that, but that's not our standard. In everything we do, there's milk, there's ghee, there's milk products. The whole HareKrishna movement, there's always milk products. So my observation was that Prabhupada accepted it. He knew. He certainly knew what these rascal dairies were doing. He wrote about it in Srimad Bhagavatam very vividly in the first canto. So he knew. And still, all right, he accepted. And he offered to Krishna the milk from these dairies, and he himself drank the milk from these dairies. So my personal policy is not to try to be more pure than Prabhupada. If I could easily only take our own milk, no, that's a different story. But in the world where Prabhupada was working, I'll follow Prabhupada, that's what he did. But I proposed, because there are those who, especially in the West now, this vegan ideology has become very strong, and oh good, we appreciate that they're against violence to cows. So then they'll say, we used to think that we have the higher position because we're vegetarians, but now they're better than vegetarians. They don't take even milk. So then what are we to say? So I've proposed another path called ahimsa balancing. Maybe you can find the article, in fact, if you can. From a practical point of view, if all the vegans in the world were multiplied times, say 1,000, they wouldn't make a dent on the economic picture of these demonic dairy companies. Would hardly make a dent. So in terms of, actually doing something to prevent cruelty to cows, they're not really doing anything other than making a token gesture. Even if you buy, let's say, a liter of milk, only a fraction of what you give goes to the dairy company. So much of it goes in tax to the government, so much goes to the transportation company, so much goes to the company, to the grocer, so much goes to the company that made the package, so much goes to advertising, so much goes to here and there. The actual profit that they make on a liter of milk is very small. So you're denying them a few paisa. What is that? It's not an effective means of bringing about change. Yeah, I've got it too. Oh, good, you've got it up there. But it will be distracting if you project it, because you can't listen to me and read that at the same time. So, as a financial tactic, this would be more effective. You calculate the number of rupees that you spend in a month for your milk, your ghee, your rasgulla, your, dahi, whatever it is. And you take that many rupees and you give it to a Krishna conscious farm. You buy your milk, everything. Let's say it comes to 500 rupees. I don't know what's a realistic number, but let's say 500 rupees. It's going to be more, isn't it? But give me a number. 1,500. All right. So let's say we'll make it even, 2,000 rupees. So you spend your 2,000 rupees for all of your milk products, but give 2,000 rupees to the HareKrishna Goshala or farm. Your 2,000 rupees that you denied, if you were vegan, that you denied the dairy company, is nothing. Even the whole 2,000 rupees means nothing to them. But as we discussed, the actual part of the 2,000 that they were expected to get was very small. Maybe they were going to get 300 rupees out of 2,000. Maybe. So you're not denying them anything. But 2,000 rupees you give to a farm, that's serious money. 2,000 rupees you give to a farm, that's serious money now. And imagine, how many people do we have in this room? 300? 300 times 2,000? So what's that? 6 lakhs? So 6 lakhs rupees a month? Straight? Nothing for tax, nothing for this. 6 lakh rupees a month, just from the people in this room. You all give that much, 6 lakh rupees. That makes a difference. So as a political action tool, this ahimsa balancing is more effective than I won't drink milk because I'm too ethical. We understand the position to be very ethical, very good, but in terms of bringing about social change, realistically, it won't do anything. But if you do this, you can actually bring about social change because you're supporting the protection of cows. And your family can do this individually, your temple can do this, anyone can do this. You just calculate, here's my expenditure for the month, for the year, and you even give a percentage. You say, okay, I can give 100%, I can match the amount. Or I can't match the amount, I'll give 50%. All right, give 50%. Or I can give double. Step toward the protection of cows. a substantial positive step rather than an inconsequential attack or negative step. You know, you've attacked an army with a feather. They're not going to be shaking in fear. But your contribution to the ISKCON farm will make a difference. So that's my proposal, ahimsa balancing. And then you go to the vegan and you say, all right, you're doing some inconsequential thing for social change. You're denying the dairy company 20 rupees a month, 100 rupees a month. What are you doing positively? I'm not doing anything. So you either remain vegan or don't remain vegan, but give something for the protection of cows. I'm giving 2,000 rupees a month. Why don't you also, you can do that. You remain vegan, but you give 2,000 rupees a month. Otherwise, I'm doing more for social change than you're doing. Is that all right? And you can read that article at your leisure. It's on my website.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is regarding today's morning Bhagavatam soul, ourself. So whether the services like we have merriment services, solution, solving the problems, they also come under tapasya or they are not?
Forget tapasya, they're bhakti. Hiranyakashipu is also doing tapasya. Anyone can do tapasya. This is better than tapasya. This is bhakti. To distribute books, to serve in the temple, to do something for Krishna, that's bhakti. Managing is also bhakti.
Because that causes a lot of problems, managing the temple situation. Because sometimes it's a thankless task.
I misunderstood. The management is causing problem for the managers, or the managers are causing problem for everybody else?
It's both ways.
Both. Sometimes that's also bhakti. We take some troubles on our head, and sometimes we have to give some trouble to others also. And tapasya is included. When we do bhakti, there'll be tapasya. Tapasya by itself is of no value. But tapasya undertaken in the service of Krishna has value. Yes, wherever the microphone is.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We get sufferings in life according to our karma. I've heard one can burn some of the karmic reactions by voluntarily accepting the sufferings by doing austerities. So does it work that way? If yes, what austerities one may do?
Yes, it's true. By austerity, one can burn off the results of sinful reactions. But that's a weak method. The strong method is devotional service. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhaja. By devotional service, one burns out not only the results of sinful reactions, but even the root of sinful reactions. So austerity is less important. Devotional service is the most essential thing. And what is devotional service? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Panasemanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Hearing, chanting, remembering, and then doing everything for the service of Krishna. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yesterday you mentioned that not every devotee can attain the realization and destination of His Holiness Kadambakanan Swami Maharaj. How to see Prabhupada's statement like, If you do 70% to 80%, I will take you back to Godhead. I have the key to the back door of the spiritual world.
Not everyone means we may have difficulties, we may not follow strictly, we may not come to 70%. But the example is there, and we can follow and depend on Krishna's mercy. It's not, and Prabhupada said that you follow and you'll go back to Godhead. In this lifetime also.
Maharaj, there is an extension to the question. It is like Srila Prabhupada, sometimes devotees place Srila Prabhupada above Madhvacharya and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who told 3 lifetimes for back to Godhead. They have quoted that it takes a practitioner 3 lifetimes to go back to Godhead.
Where are they quoting from?
This is mentioned. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Madhvacharya.
I've never seen that number, magic number 3. It may take thousands of lifetimes, or it may take 1 lifetime. Anyway, let me do it. But Prabhupada said, try to finish it up in this 1 lifetime.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, how do we balance the cultivation of Sattva Guna and personal needs with the preaching mission?
How do we balance Sattva Guna and personal needs with the preaching mission? I don't quite understand what needs to be balanced against what. Why does Sattva Guna need to be balanced against the preaching mission? Or why does it need to be balanced against personal needs?
Maharaj, in the preaching, many of them feel that it gets late at night. It becomes late at night.
Oh, we become late at night.
And then they find it difficult to get up in the morning, and they feel sleepy in the chanting. So oftentimes in their extensive travels, and also dealing with the managerial situations, sometimes to keep the...
Well, of course, Prabhupada also preached late into the night. He also managed more than we manage. But by Krishna consciousness, he was able to balance everything. Finally, it's not Sattva Guna either. We're looking for the Nirgun or Krishna Guna, the transcendental platform. Though the Sattva Guna is supportive of transcendental efforts, the Tamaguna is not very good, Rajaguna is a little better, Sattva Guna is best. But the real thing is the transcendental service of Krishna. That's far more valuable than Sattva Guna. So we have to try to manage things in such a way that we will not be swallowed by passionate activities and irregulated schedules and so on. But yes, so a person, if we're a little attentive, we can try to see that things go on sensibly. But finally, devotional service is the most important thing. The yogis living in the forest can live in Sattva Guna, but the devotees are still more pleasing to Krishna by living in the cities and undergoing the troubles of late night programs and so on. Okay.
Are there any examples of farm communities where Daivi Varnashram Dharma is followed consistently by 500 plus or sizable number of devotees with varieties of natures?
Put a lot of conditions there, didn't you? No. +500 devotees consistently, different natures, and you ask the question, the answer is no. So that gives lots of room for improvement.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. As some neophyte people like me come into Krishna consciousness movement and they are trying to do their seva, chanting and serve Krishna in every possible way, but they are attacked by Kamadev, lust. How to eliminate this? Also, they try their best to follow brahmacharya, but sometimes problems like nightfall happens. Is it really meaning that I'm not following regulatory principles given by Srila Prabhupada?
Let's see the question. It's because there were a lot of questions in the question. Okay, we're trying to serve Krishna in every way, but Kamdev is doing his business. So what to do? Yes, one has to become more attracted to Krishna. Kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham. Krishna is known as Manmata, right? He bewilders the mind of Cupid because he's more attractive. In our diet, we can try to eat moderately, we can try to live a regulated life, avoid excessive mixing between men and women. All of these things are good, all good. Don't eat at night. But finally, the most important thing is to be attracted more to Krishna. Sometimes if accidentally there's some difficulty, it doesn't mean, no, now I have to give up brahmacharya life. It's understood that these things will be there. Or my mind is disturbed. Oh, all right, that's it, finished. Brahmacharya life means practicing also. Doesn't mean perfect. Unless you're Sanat Kumar, Sanandana, Sanak, Chatusana. They're perfect brahmacharis. Narad Muni, Shukadev Goswami. So we may not be on their level, but we're practicing, we're aspiring. And that's accepted.
In the morning session, you said that we should use our qualifications, whatever we have, to preach to the higher class of society and not to become one of them to preach. But without being highly situated in material life, it is very difficult to preach because the higher class won't listen to us. In ISKCON also...
Even if you are highly qualified, they won't listen to you.
There is a little more to the question. In ISKCON also, when some guest speaker comes, whether Grahastha or Brahmachari, to attract the crowd, their material qualifications are also highlighted. So...
well, I don't know. I'm sitting here, there's, I'm speaking to a big room full of people. I never finished high school. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to ask you, and meditating on the judgment of God, how do we meditate on punishment God gives because of our sins? Is fear of God a relevant point of meditation in Krishna consciousness?
Is fear of God a relevant point? And how should we meditate on punishment? Well, one thing is we don't meditate on punishment. That is to say, punishment, 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 punishment. Hare Krishna, punishment, punishment. We're not meditating on it, but we think about it. And we're given the examples how to think about it in different places in Shastra. tate nukampam susumikshamana. One can think that my punishment has been reduced by the mercy of Krishna. And let me tolerate what little punishment I'm getting as the result of my past sinful activities. That's the general recommendation about it. Punishment has been reduced. So anyway, I have this body, some trouble has to be there. Let me accept it, that's all. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, what do we mean by Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha? Short moment of association. How does it hold true? We see many people get association of great devotees, but they do not seem to transform.
Yeah, that's mentioned also in Bhagavatam. Even if after chanting Hare Krishna, nothing happens. One doesn't develop tears in the eyes, ecstasy, the trembling of the body. That means the heart is steel framed. So it's not that everyone who comes in touch with a pure devotee becomes sarvasiddhi, attains all perfection. But the opportunity is there. Then every opportunity is there. Narad Muni, that was his qualification. He was a nice boy. The Bhaktivedantas liked him. He did a little service. He was listening to them speak. So he became Narad Muni. Others may have come in touch with those sages and not become Narad Muni. So many people came in touch with Prabhupada. Apparently nothing happened. But those who were submissive, those who were open, those who were fortunate, became devotees. So it's not Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, it must happen. But the opportunity is there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, while performing austerities, after some times, as difficulties comes, determination becomes weak. How to deal with it?
After performing austerities for some time, determination becomes weak. Well, maybe you want to give up your austerities and chant Hare Krishna. Simply austerities. Of course, there's austerity in Krishna consciousness, and we don't want our determination to become weak. So again, that austerity is fortified by taste for Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, austerity on its own becomes dry. And one thinks, why am I undergoing so much trouble? But if one is Krishna conscious, then even the austerities may seem like happiness. Or even if it's troublesome, all right, for Krishna, let me do it. Raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate.
How to know one's adhikar while performing austerities, and how to deal with pride that comes by doing so?
How to know one's adhikar for performing. Main thing is to see what is my duty. Not let me go looking for austerities that I can perform. Can I pluck out the hairs on my body? Can I do this? Can I do that? What austerity can I do next? That's not the point. What is my duty? What is my duty? And in my duty, there will be austerity. So let me accept some austerity for the sake of my duty. Book distributors are undergoing some trouble for distributing books. The managers are undergoing trouble for managing. Everyone's undergoing some trouble. All right, let me do that for Krishna.
As Srila Prabhupada writes in purport to Bhagavad Gita 18.65, that one's mind should be fixed only on Krishna's form and not on any other Vishnu forms as Varaha, Balaji, etc. But we see that these days that there are many yatras taken to the dhams of Vishnu deities. Is it okay? Please clarify.
What are they doing?
They're taking yatras to different South Indian yatras, Vishnu Murtis.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also visited those same places. We're only focusing on Vishnu, on Krishna, but we're hearing about Varaha, Nrsimha, Kurma, so many avatars of Krishna. We're hearing about Vishnu in Vaikuntha, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. It's not that we're averse, but we have to see everything and how it contributes to attraction to Krishna.
Although repeatedly hearing from Shastras about rejecting sense gratification, and there is no pleasure at all, mind doesn't listen to that. And as a conditioned soul, I repeatedly fall prey to sense gratification. Please enlighten me the solution to control my senses.
We're not against sense gratification. I said this one time to Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada, it's so hard to convince the students to give up sense gratification. Prabhupada said, we don't say give up, but regulate. Prabhupada said sense gratification is like salt. Too much salt, you can't eat. And no salt, you also can't eat. But the proper amount of salt, then your meal will be tasty, but not too much. So we don't say no sex, we say no illicit sex. We don't say no eating, we say no meat, no fish, no eggs. In this way, the senses, we don't say, don't see anything, don't hear anything. See the beautiful form of Krishna, hear Krishna Katha. Let the senses be satisfied in relationship to Krishna. There must be sense gratification. There must be.
As in the morning class, it was discussed that Hiranyakashipu did austerity. But was that needed? Simply it was worst. But my question is, if he didn't do that level of austerity, then someone other can kill him. But he's killed by Narsimha.
Someone other?
It's a broken language, I'm just trying to fix it up. But my question is that if he didn't do the austerity, somebody else would have killed him and not Narsimha Dev. How it is possible? What I interpret from this question is that he's trying to say that Hiranyakashipu did the austerity and got the privilege of being killed by Narsimha Dev Bhagwan. Had he not performed that, he would have been killed by someone else, or Yamraj probably. So austerity did work some way for him.
If you're going to be a demon, better to be a big time demon. Yeah. Therefore, we're hearing about Hiranyakashipu. He did such extraordinary demonic activity that Nrsimhadev came and killed him. But even the biggest demons, Krishna may not kill them, because Krishna is more interested in the devotee. He didn't really come to kill Hiranyakashipu, he came to favor Prahlad Maharaj. Otherwise, even the biggest demons, drop a tree on them and it's all over. Material nature can take care of them.
Kirtans in our temples, very loud with instruments. I come out of Kirtan during these times instead of stopping the enthusiasm of young devotees. Is this okay? Or we should properly train the younger generation?
I don't know if it's okay or not, but I do the same thing.
Maharaj, every time I sit for chanting, mind wanders a lot. Could you please tell some practical tips so I can chant attentively?
There are devotees who've written about this very nicely. One is Satsrup Maharaj, one is Sachinandan Maharaj, one is Mahatma Prabhu. They've all written very nice books specifically about this topic, how to improve our chanting. The summary is, wherever the mind wanders, one has to bring it back. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamastira tatastato niyamyaitaratmanyeva vishamne. But you can pick up, for answering this question, pick up some of these books. Very good discussion.
Sometimes when we do services, we observe many of our queries are revealed within our hearts.
Many of our
Queries are revealed within our hearts. The answer to our queries are revealed. That's what he intends to say. So when we should ask questions, or which questions should we ask? As during study of scriptures, thousands of queries come to our mind.
How do the queries?
Thousands of queries come to our mind when we read the scriptures. So what type of questions to ask?
Well, how do they come to your mind? I don't know, but they do, don't they? So that's how they come. We don't have to answer it, but when we read scripture, naturally there'll be questions. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was discussing with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, hearing from Bhattacharya. Bhattacharya said, "You're not asking any questions." Because it's expected that if we hear nicely, there'll be questions. I was in the Bhagavatam class, or hearing the Bhagavatam class some days ago, Vrindavan, Bhadrinarayan Maharaj, just like, right on target. His question went right to the heart of things, because he was listening very carefully and he's intelligent, so naturally the question came. What about this? So if you're reading carefully, naturally there'll be questions. If you're just reading, blah, 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 blah. But if you read carefully, naturally there'll be questions. So when to ask questions come up. But they should be relevant questions. Prabhupada gave the example. How long was Putin a witch? How many men did she kill? How many children did she kill? These are not important questions. But to try to understand the conclusions of Krishna consciousness.
I've heard that only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees can one give up material enjoyment. So how to get that mercy?
Chant Hare Krishna and engage others in chanting Hare Krishna. You'll get mercy.
His Holiness Kadamkanan Swami Maharaj, in his last days, said a statement that we all vow to chant 16 rounds, but we don't vow to read Srila Prabhupada books daily for 1 hour. We face problems in us due to this. Maharaj, sometimes the preaching services give a great load and it's difficult to find out time to read daily. Can you please suggest what can I do in such a case?
Different strategies for reading. I don't have a magic strategy. I was editing the books, so I read in the context. Those who are preaching will naturally want to read because people will ask questions, and unless you read, you have nothing to say. Some people have a discipline. They set aside X time, and no matter what, they read during that time. Some people belong to a group, and the group discusses. There are different strategies. If you're serious, the English expression is, where there's a will, There's a way.
Maharaj, many of the devotees, they read a lot and hear a lot and they prepare for their lectures, but they refer to materials other than Prabhupada's direct writings because they find it convenient to draw from various sources within ISKCON many a times, from various speakers they hear, and then they also read various other books. So they don't read often Bhaktivedanta purports directly, and that's why these devotees, they don't read the Bhaktivedanta purports.
They don't read the Bhaktivedanta purports?
On a regular basis, but they refer to many other things. And there they lose out time oftentimes.
And that?
There they lose out their time.
Reduces the time. We're against reading mundane books. We have no reason to be reading the mundane news magazines and internet sites and so many ways of wasting time. Internet itself is number one time suck. But when there's books about Krishna, in the Krishna consciousness movement, why not read them? Prabhupada, Lilamrita, we're all reading. Giriraj Maharaj is writing wonderful books. We can read them. Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu is translated, Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Krishna Lila Stava. There are so many nice books. So why should... No, I only read Prabhupada's books. No, why? Even Prabhupada would take pleasure in reading, he said, the articles written for Back to Godhead by his students. So we haven't taken a vow, no, I only read Prabhupada. You can, but you don't, that's not a principle of devotional service. And no, I can only read Prabhupada. But by reading Prabhupada's books, we'll get so much. We'll get so much. Our basic foundation is found in Prabhupada's books. If we want to know the science of Krishna, then we can read Prabhupada's books and understand everything. But it's not that, no, I can't read any other book. Of course, maybe I'm biased because I'm selling another book. But Prabhupada encouraged his disciples to write books. Even during Prabhupada's time, BBT published books written by Prabhupada's disciples at Prabhupada's request. So it's not that we should only publish them, but no one should read them. You read them also. Is that okay? Sadaputa Prabhu's books. Wonderful books. If we have to subtract something, subtract Facebook. The problem is not too many ISKCON books, the problem is Facebook. Big program for wasting time. If you're a regular user of Facebook, then take out your stopwatch feature of your clock on your phone and keep track one day of how much time you're spending on Facebook. And then consider, if I read Srimad Bhagavatam, let's say, during that time, how much time would that be? And over the course of, say, a year, how much of Srimad Bhagavatam would I have read? And then ask yourself, at the end of the year, would I rather have spent that time reading that much of Srimad Bhagavatam, or would it have been better to be on Facebook so that I don't miss anything?
Maharaj, sometimes we get service authority or spiritual in charge who are too fanatic or strict in behavior with subordinate. Without understanding the subordinate or giving them space for improvement, they give decision.
They do what? Take decisions?
They take decisions. So my question is, should we change the authority? We change the service? We change the project? Or continue with them only, understanding it is the will of Krishna?
Wow. What were the alternatives again that you gave me? We change the authority means replace the authority, or I work under a different authority? I work under a different authority, or change the service, or change the project, or continue. Yes. Do one of those.
Hare Krishna. Regulating the intake and the type of food to get rid of Kam Vasana is not really helping in getting rid of Kam Vasana. Isn't it like we are just making it weak by not giving the enough energy to body, while it stays inside of us in very weak state and will strike again with relevant intake of food? Then how is this brahmacharya real? Won't it be real if a brahmacharya is giving well energy to the body and regulating it to his upper body chakras?
Yeah, just regulating our diet. The monkeys are mostly eating bananas and chickpeas, and still they manage to be sexually active. So it's not just regulating the diet. The regulated diet will help. There's food in ignorance, there's food in passion, there's food in goodness. Generally, the food in goodness is conducive to goodness. So if we can live according to goodness, then everything becomes easier. But just restricting the diet doesn't solve lust. There's so many serious yogis who are restricting their diet far more than we could hope to, and still were victimized by lusty desire. The diet is only to support our program. And not eating, that's not sustainable. Just to make oneself weak is not a sustainable program. But the program is service, devotional service. At the end of the day, there's nothing stronger or more purifying than devotional service. What is that? Tat swayam sarva samsito. Okay. Kalinatmani bindati. Nahi gyanena sadrisham pavitramiha vijite. Tat swayam yoga sangsita kalinatmani bindati. So transcendental knowledge will help us more than just starvation. Starvation with transcendental knowledge without transcendental knowledge will not help us. And transcendental knowledge without starvation is all right. And the fullness of transcendental knowledge means devotional service. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam chayadvaitakam vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga prayamati. Again and again, doesn't personally guide, then generally he has his representatives. Even in the 1970s, it's not that Prabhupada was giving everyone personal instruction, you do this, you do that. But he set up a system so that everybody got guidance. And it was understood, he said, that by following his representatives, we were following him. The same thing is there.
Some devotees say that many pure devotees and acharyas remained in the grihastashram only, and they didn't take to vanaprasth or sannyas. For example, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Also, it is said
They always want to make Bhaktivinoda Thakur the patron saint of attached grihastha life. Those who are attached to grihastha life and want to stay till the very end, they worship the lotus feet of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and glorify Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But they're not on the level of Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
they say things
If
like,
you're Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you can be in family life, you can be in hell, you can be anywhere, and you'll be Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But as for me, I'll be me. Bhaktivinoda Thakur can remain. Of course, in his last days also, he withdrew from family life. But first become Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then remain in family life till the end.
in the purport.
Otherwise, what is the point? That Prabhupada's writing again and again, one should get free from family life, and I'm Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur should not be used as a, what would you say, a tool for avoiding these instructions. It's not that Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to this world to provide an excuse for attached householders.
In the purport we read in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada mentioned awakening dormant spirit of renunciation. Can you please explain, as we generally hear of re-awakening dormant prema?
In the beginning of the purport, we heard reawakening dormant
Of renunciation.
Which purport? Kaun se purport? Six five 41. Here it is. Not the beginning. Under the unless one gets the association of a devotee like Narad Muni. Renunciation means not to try to be an enjoyer of this material world. Our dormant spirit is the spirit of Krishna consciousness, which includes renunciation. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. Janiyati ashura vairagyam. Or what is that? Tatstradhana muniyo jnana vairagya yuktaya. Devotional service is naturally connected with jnana and vairagya. So if we want to develop, say, our dormant jnana, does that mean we're jnanis? No. It's bhakti yoga yukta. Devotion, it's jnana that supports devotional service or is connected with devotional service or inherent in devotional service. If you're in devotional service, there'll naturally be jnana. Similarly, if you're in devotional service, there'll naturally be vairagya. Those who have no spirit of devotional service, they're naturally attached to wine, woman, sense gratification, meat eating, blah, blah, blah. But if one's attached to Krishna, one naturally has detachment. Bhaktir parashyanu bhavo viraktir anyatracha. Therefore, when one develops one's natural dormant spirit of devotional service, the spirit of detachment automatically revives because it's part of devotional service. It's not separately that the living entity has an eternal spirit of renunciation separate from devotional service. As a devotee, he's naturally renounced. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is regarding yesterday's discussion, Maharaj.
Yesterday's
Discussion in the morning about the intelligence having different dresses. So about the message. So I have heard, Maharaj, many years back that there is something called philosophical speculation and there is mental speculation. And philosophical speculation is allowed and things like that. So actually I could not find exactly where it is written. So is it appropriate and what it is and what is not?
Yeah, philosophical speculation, mental speculation. The idea is that if by philosophy you come to understand Krishna, then it's very good. And otherwise it's all rubbish. Simply going on with the mind, this idea, that idea, this notion, that notion, this philosophy, that philosophy. That's all a waste of time. But in Bhagavatam and elsewhere, there's philosophical progress. How to understand Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. How to understand the presence of God in the heart. How to understand Bhagavan as the source of everything. These are all philosophical topics. So we should patiently hear these philosophical discussions from the pages of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this way, try to understand things philosophically.
Hare Krishna. How to develop higher taste? Even after many years of practice, taste for Krishna conscious cultivation is not yet, activities is not developed. And Maya's attack becomes more forceful.
Associate with those who have higher taste. To get a higher taste, we should associate with those who have higher taste.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can you share your some interactions with Srila Prabhupada?
No, that's an endless topic. I'm just not that very good at that. Some devotees are like Hari Shauri and Shrutakirti Prabhu, they're so good. I'm not so good for these things. I'd rather discuss teachings, and in the course of the teachings you'll get some interactions also.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, how to read Srila Prabhupada books so that it nourishes consciousness and we get joy by doing so?
Start on page 1 and keep going. And again, read in the association of those who have a taste for the books. Then your taste will also grow.
If someone is practicing Krishna consciousness nicely, then why does he need to refer astrology?
Why does he need to?
Refer to astrology. Especially when it gets serious illness, like His Holiness Kadam Kanand Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Jaiadvaita Swami Maharaj, or even His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada during his Antyalila.
The astrology is not very important, but it's sometimes used for practical things. Just like we sometimes use a wristwatch, we sometimes use a calendar, we sometimes use some measuring cup or something. So these things have some practical use. The astrology is mostly used for marriage calculations. You know that if you get married, you're going to go wrong, but you don't want to go too wrong. So you consult the astrologer. Our Kadamba Kananda Maharaj consulted an astrologer just to get a picture. All right, you know, how much time are we talking about? he went to see, but who turned out to be a good astrologer. His predictions were good. So how much time? Because as a manager, you want to know how much time do we have? So let's take a calculation. Just as we take from the doctor prognosis, you have 2 months, you have 4 months, you have 6 months. But not that every day going back to the astrologer, now what, now what, now what, now what. But, moderately using these things, not becoming, astrology, all enamored of astrology or living your whole life by astrology. But sometimes we may. Sometimes Prabhupada would, in his last days, he would call for the astrological reading. He would say, let's have some fun. And he would call for the reading, and the reading would say something like, on such and such date, this will be very difficult, and the native should wear such and such thing, on such and such stone, he should chant mantras. Prabhupada said, chant mantras, let's have kirtan.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, will you accept me as a shishya of yours? If no, then where can I find a guru who will clear all my doubts and answer all the questions that there won't be questions left? Who will kill the I in me? If it is even possible to find a guru as such, if no, then can this entire existence become my guru?
Can the entire movement become our guru? Well, first thing is, as far as my becoming your Shisha Guru or something, all I'm seeing is a piece of paper here. It's a little premature, and generally I don't accept disciples anyway. Apart from that, and I come to Pune once every, as they say, once in a blue moon, which means rarely. So I don't know that I could be of much help. But there are many qualified devotees who are Ye Krishna Tattvaveta, who know the science of Krishna. Therefore, She Guru, they can serve as spiritual masters. Not that I give a good class and then, I must be your guru. But you patiently hear from different devotees, and where you find that you're getting inspiration and some reciprocation also, then under the guidance of senior devotees, Prabhupada would say, today you come on sentiment, tomorrow you'll leave on sentiment. But in the association, I know here in Pune things are set up in such a way that devotees get good guidance how to progress in their spiritual life. So that's the first thing. First thing is to have some interest out of Shraddha. Then the next thing is sadhu sangota, to associate with the devotees. So you have an interest, obviously, and now you're in the association of the devotees. So in the association of devotees, stay in that association. And the next thing is bhajana kriya. By the association of devotees, you'll get good guidance on how to do bhajan. Means how to serve Krishna. In that bhajana kriya, acceptance of the guru is, you could say, first item or major item. So step by step, have some interest, associate with the devotees. Then, with the help of the devotees, you'll get a good idea where to go for initiation. As far as the whole movement becoming our guru, no. And we'll learn from the whole movement. Of course, whole movement, we can't even see the whole movement. But from the institution, definitely we'll get something. We'll get the whole shape and feel of Krishna consciousness. We'll get books. We'll get so many things. But not that the institution becomes my guru. A person becomes the guru. It's personal. It's not that the GBC becomes my guru, or the ISKCON becomes my guru, or philosophized picture of Prabhupada becomes my guru. One has to find out a qualified devotee under whom to take shelter, step by step.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, how can I properly understand the doership of the soul?
Doership of the soul?
I have heard that the soul is the passive doer, like a battery in a laptop.
Like the battery in
In a laptop.
in
In a laptop.
a laptop.
And also that the soul is the
That's
initiating.
19th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? Okay, go ahead.
And also that the soul is the initiating doer and one of the 5 causes of action. How does the soul desiring as a battery like passive doer?
I'm not sure about this battery analogy. Passive doer, I haven't really heard either. But yes, one of the 5 items of action. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratak vidha vividhas cha pratak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchama. Srila Prabhupada explains that we have, of course in the Bhagavad Gita it said, prakate kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. That material nature is doing everything. Ahankara bimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. But I'm thinking because of false ego that I'm the doer. But I think Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that we have to have some kind of doership. Otherwise there'd be no use of Shastra. If I have no free choice to do something or not do something, why talk to me? Why preach to me? Why have Shastra directed toward me if Prakriti is going to do everything? So Srila Prabhupada explained we have tiny independence. Tiny independence means we can turn away from Krishna, we can turn toward Krishna. If we turn toward Krishna, we come under the spiritual energy. If we turn away from Krishna, we come under the material energy. That's up to us. But then, how are we acting? According to our desire. And then, upadrashtanu mantacha, the super soul, is witnessing, yes, he wants this, and he's allowing, yes, give him this. Prabhupada said he dictates. Even you worshipping a demigod, Krishna dictates to the demigod. All right, give this rascal wants this, give him that. So finally, we're one of the actors, but our scope for action is very small. We can't act independently, even materially. Finally, everything depends on Daiva, personality of Godhead. Is that okay?
Maharaj, in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta tattvavet pashyan shrinman sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapanshvasan pralapan visirjan unmishan mishan. So all those activities are all done by the Prakriti. So the tripod is explained in the 5th chapter.
Tripod?
Tripod. The soul, the Ishwar, and the material agency. So the soul is inactive, but he is active only by initiating the desire.
Yeah.
And Ishwar gives sanction and the material agency activates. So this devotee's question is, we say material agency is Prakritik Remanani, Gune Karmani. Through the three gunas she is activating us. And we are Jiva is passive.
We are
Passive.
not entirely passive.
Only we are having desire, ability to desire.
We
We have the ability to desire.
That's not passive. That's active. It may not be that I can independently accomplish my desire, but it's still its activity. It's not just waiting for the universe to decide what is what. Naivakinchit kuromiti means finally the senses are acting. Elsewhere it said, anyway, that verse is good enough. That he sees that the senses are interacting with their objects. That's all that's going on. What does it have to do with me? If I'm not this body, then when I'm seeing or picking something up, putting something down, smelling, whatever, it's not, what does that have to do with me? I'm not this body. That's the point. So in that sense, I'm not doing anything, nor is anything being done to me even passively. Someone's punching me in the face. They're not really punching me because I'm not this body. Not a question of passive or active. I'm not this body, it has nothing to do with me.
Maharaj, at the same time, is it true when a soul gets awakened, then Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. So I heard that as soon as the soul gets connected to Krishna consciousness and becomes active in devotional service, then the soul is no more passive. The soul himself becomes active. Is that true? And he is not activated by the material agency. He is activated by internal potency.
Even then, he's always active. Prabhupada makes that point, that even in the conditioned state, we're active, because it's our nature to be active. Not that we only become active in liberated life, we're active, very active now. But the action is performed.
Nahi kaschit kshanamapi.
Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Jatutistacha karmika. We're always active. But our action now is linked into the material nature. That website is there, LinkedIn. So everyone's linked in to the material nature. So I'm active, but I'm active through the material energy. And in Krishna consciousness, still I'm active, but I'm active in connection with the spiritual energy. Now I'm active for sense gratification, for something illusory. And now I'll be active for serving Krishna and giving Krishna happiness. I'm active for my own happiness and I'm miserable. So let me act for Krishna's happiness and be happy myself. My active nature is always there. But now it's wrongly directed toward the mistaken purpose in life. And therefore my action is perverted, or it's pervertedly experienced through the material energy. But in pure consciousness is properly experienced.
Maharaj, this question has been sent by someone because some days ago it seems there was a discussion in the Srimad Bhagavatam class that the soul is inactive and it's the body and the gross and subtle body, they both are activated by different demigods, like eyes by Surya, like that. So
That's true.
Material agency is the one moving the body, and the soul is only initiating actions only by his desire.
Yeah.
Therefore, this question someone has sent.
Yeah. That's true. We're not independently able to carry out any actions. Hare Krishna. How about that? Even to raise my eyebrows, I'm dependent on the demigod involved. To see something, I need the sun, I need something to see. I need an eyeball. Not that I can just say, I want to see. But it's night, there's no sun. No, I want to see. Unless there's sun or representative of the sun in electrical light, then I can't see. And even if the sun is there, if I don't have eyes, I can't see. And even if I have eyes and there's sun, if there's nothing to see, again I can't see. Has to be some object to see. So I'm not independent. If I want to eat, there has to be something to eat, there has to be a mouth to eat it with, there has to be a demigod overseeing the process. So I'm thinking I'm totally independent to do anything. I need Krishna's help either through the material energy or through the spiritual energy.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Like generally when we go out for preaching or when we go to distribute books or just in sense of preaching, for some period of time, a person shows interest. Like let us say 2-3 months he was attending classes properly, showing interest, and we were happy for that as a preacher.
Somebody's showing interest for some time and we're happy about that as preachers. Yes.
But gradually he stops attending classes or he becomes slow. So at that point of time, how much should we be protective about whether, like how much should we force him?
You can't force anyone. You can't force anyone.
How much protective should we become?
How?
How much protective should we become for him?
How protective?
Should we become?
That means he is asking how to ensure that he will continue coming and he won't get
You can't
lost.
ensure. You can't ensure. You try your best, that's all. You invite him, you encourage him. Maybe if he's coming, there's some reason, you might ask him. We see that you used to come, now you're not coming. Is there some reason? Maybe he tells you the reason and you see what you can do to help. Or maybe something in his life has changed, he's lost interest. Maybe in the future the interest will come back. You keep his contact, you keep in touch. Even in business, I'm ordering from you, and I stop ordering. Oh, maybe I don't need the product now, or I think I don't need it, or I found another supplier, or I'm just in difficult times, I have other things to worry about than ordering your product. So you keep in touch with me. You can't force me, no, you must order my product, you used to order it, you have to order it. But we're always here, we want you to know. Maybe sometimes you're offering a sale, or whatever. Keeping a friendly salesman calls you up, just want to see that everything's going nice in your business, you need anything from us? No, everything's all right. All right, if you ever need anything.
One more question. Like when we are staying in a particular community.
But one thing, you never drop him. I had a friend who was expert in the magazine business. He says, once someone is your subscriber, even if he stops subscribing, you never... The only time you drop him is if he expires, literally. People's lives go through all sorts of changes, and the same person who's lost interest today may be intensely interested tomorrow. So you never just drop someone. You're always his well-wisher.
when we are living in a community, so like community means in the sense group of devotees or temples we can say, and like what should we keep in mind when we are changing community or temple to stay due to job or something like that?
What do we keep in mind when we're changing the community or temple? What?
Like the place where we are staying, because my question is in the sense like in a particular group of devotees some point is focused more, like either book distribution, youth preaching. So when we are changing, so what should we keep in mind?
Keep Krishna in mind. Service means that may change. Today I may be cooking, tomorrow I may be distributing books, next day I may be pujari, maybe next day something else. But the constant is that I'm serving Krishna and the spiritual master. That's all. So from that point of view, it's absolute. Doesn't matter whether I'm cooking, distributing books, or doing pujari seva. As long as I can be engaged in the service of Krishna. Our Kadamba Maharaj, he said death is a change of service. Death means change of service. In this life I'm serving, next life I'll serve. Maybe I won't be, sannyasi, maybe I won't be a GBC man, maybe I won't be this or that, but I'll have some service.
Thank you, Maharaj. One more question, like when we preach or when we talk philosophy to someone and he has some faith, some other faith in his mind, or he has been following. So at that point of time, like how should we deal with him? Either like Prabhupada used to defeat directly. Sometimes we also have points.
No, I'm a little lost. Someone has some faith in something else now? If he has his faith there, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada would directly defeat their philosophy.
He's asking, should we defeat his philosophy and teach him the right thing, or just befriend him?
You have to see. Generally, we don't criticize the person he has faith in, but the teaching is the point. What is Krishna teaching? That's all. And sometimes he's too foolish to understand the teaching, then we just remain his friend. That's all. You have to see.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji, Dandavat Pranam. How to take shelter of Srimati Radharani and consciously live life of Vrindavan and leave life
Serve
in
Chaitanya
Vrindavan?
Mahaprabhu. To take shelter of Srimati Radharani, Mahaprabhu Nandashuta Brishabhanu Shutayuta. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means Srimati Radharani is, Krishna has appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined form, Radha and Krishna. So best thing is take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and going through the Goswamis, what will we understand of Srimati Radharani? The best thing is to approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Aha Prabhu Nanda Shuna Brishabhanu Shutayuta.
Living life consciously in Vrindavan and leaving in Vrindavan Dham. Living life, how to live life consciously in Vrindavan.
Yes, you serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
In one of the morning walks, he talks about daydream and night dream.
It talks about what?
Daydream and night dream.
Yeah.
So he says that as we finish our night dream, we awakens. So then we become conscious of our current body, our conditional situation, and we enter into those responsibilities and that.
Enter into?
The responsibilities of conditional life.
Prabhupada talks about the daydream, and can you?
So question is like when dream is going on, as soon as we become conscious, dream stops. But in our daydreaming, we are becoming conscious. So because we are entering into like we are practicing Krishna consciousness. So how we understand whether we are sleep? We are in like. How do we understand we are in a dream? Yeah, because.
To the extent that we're practicing Krishna consciousness, we're awake. To the extent that I'm still thinking I'm this body, to the extent that I'm still thinking I'm Indian, I'm American, the extent that I'm still thinking how to be happy by sense gratification, I'm sleeping. So, and to the extent that I'm thinking how to satisfy Krishna, then I'm awake.
Thank you.
Maharaj, can you tell us about the Krishna conscious life of His Holiness Kadamkanand Swami Maharaj? How he came to Krishna consciousness?
Too long a topic.
And life.
I can't do that now. That's like a narration, and not now.
Hare Krishna. Is it true that truth is so vast, so big, that it is impossible to encapsulate the whole truth in these three worlds, in these worlds? All amount of vocabulary will not be enough to store the truth. So how can one realize the truth? By reading Shastras. And if reading Shastras is making us to realize the truth, then isn't it making the truth cheap?
It's not encapsulation. That you read the book and now it's like a capsule. You just take your capsule and you've got the absolute truth. But if you read the Shastra, then Krishna reveals himself to you. Tapite deva padam pujam tvaya prasadale shanagrihite janati tattvam bhagavan mihimno nachanya eko picharan pichinvan. It's not a mechanical thing that we've captured the absolute truth and we've put him in this capsule, or we've confined him on this page to this page. He's constrained now, and if you read this page, now you've got the absolute truth. If you take this capsule, now you've got the absolute truth. But by following the process, Krishna is there in his name, his form, his qualities, his message, everything is there. And by his mercy, you can realize that. Prasadadesh, by little mercy from Krishna. Without Krishna's mercy, no one will understand anything. Not that, just like Kamsa, he was seeing Krishna, but he couldn't understand anything. Couldn't understand anything. So it's not like a material thing where we've captured Krishna within some material coordinates. Now he's there and you can have him. But it's by this method of serving Krishna so that Krishna becomes pleased. Yes, let me reveal myself. Yame Vaisha Tanum Swam, like that. In Shruti also it's said. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo namedhaya na bahuna shrute. Yeah. When Krishna wants to reveal himself, so Prabhupada said, don't try to see Krishna, but try to act in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. That means by sincere service.
Are there any procedure to become enlightened?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the procedure. And take Krishna Prasadam and read these books and associate with the devotees.
Hare Krishna. Madhurameva samapayet, we say, no? So we wanted to conclude with beautiful Mahamantra Maharaj concluded with. And there are other devotees who have other classes and service. Kunjaberi temple. Tomorrow morning, Kunjaberi temple, Srimad Bhagavatam class at 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. And Brahmachari class tomorrow. Evening youth festival here only. In Kunjaberi temple, yes. So both programs are in Kunjaberi temple, tomorrow morning and evening. Yes. So you all can join. Most welcome. Thank you, Maharaj.
And books are here, those who want.
Yes. Those of you who haven't seen the book, please come. You can have a look at the book and pick up a copy. His Holiness Jai Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,
Radhe Shyam Prabhu ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Happily they will come.